Welcome back to A Science, part of our GCSE Must Know Physics series. Today we're just going to do a quick mini science bite looking at scalar versus vector, a small but important topic in your GCSE exams. Let's jump right in. Scalar quantities. These are quantities that have magnitude only. By magnitude, we mean basically amounts. So for example, these are things like length, which is measured in centimeters or meters. We can have things like mass, which is measured in grams, temperature, measured in degrees C, degrees Celsius. All of these things you can see only have magnitude, length, mass, temperature, and there are many others. Vector quantities, they have magnitude and direction. So they become really important in terms of objects in motion. For example, force, which is measured in newtons, but has direction because you might say, for example, let's say you had an apple which was on a tree, and that apple could fall down to the ground by the force of gravity, by the force of its weight. And of course, let's say it fell with 7 newtons of force. So you can see that I have an arrow here pointing down from the apple, and I have a magnitude. So that gives me magnitude and direction. Another example is velocity. Velocity is a vector quantity. That's different than speed, which we can put at the top, which is measured, for example, in meters per second or miles per hour. Velocity is speed plus direction. Now, this is really important. For example, in aircrafts, okay, aircrafts have to fly, but as we know, they can go up, down, sideways, all different directions. And so the airline industry and the air traffic controllers need to ensure that airplanes, do not come into contact with each other. So understanding their velocity would be very important. If a plane is flying this way, for example, at 400 miles per hour, another plane could be flying to it at the same speed, 400 miles per hour, and the air traffic controller has to determine whether or not this one of the planes may need to change directions in order to avoid hitting the other object. So velocity is a vector quantity because it refers to speed of an object and direction. Another important vector quantity is acceleration. Acceleration involves magnitude, the amount of something, the amount of increase or decrease in speed, as well as direction. And we know this, for example, that if we have a car, which is or an object which is going around in a circle, even if it's at a constant speed, it's changing direction. So in this case, this is what we're going to call a vector quantity because the direction is constantly changing. And we call this a form of acceleration. These are all vector quantities because they have both magnitude and they have direction. This is A Science, A quick GCSE must-know physics science bite. Scalar versus vector.